Greetings. It is finally time. The long-awaited date has finally come. CHROMAKOPIA is out. It's been a very busy week for the channel with Tyler's album dropping, but now the main event is finally here. CHROMAKOPIA is out on streaming services. It's been out for a day. When you see this video, it'll have been out for like a few more. But this is what the entire rollout has been leading up to. If you've been paying attention to my social medias, specifically my TikTok, I've been covering this rollout relentlessly, and it ended with me deciding to cover the entirety of the rollout in this one video. Tyler's rollouts have always been pretty extravagant, whether it be just the way he promotes the album or the shenanigans he pulls. But I think this one stands out more specifically just because of the other rollouts happening, or rollouts going on around the same time, and also just kind of the scale that it was pulled off at. There's a lot of details that went into this, a lot of behind the scenes stuff, so that's what we're gonna cover. I've documented to what I believe to be a very accurate list of every single thing that happened during this album rollout. It is a lengthy list, so this is gonna be a bit of a longer video. One, just as like kind of an all-in-one, one-stop shop, not having to go around research everything yourself, but also just to kind of show the artistic brilliance of Tyler the Creator. That may sound like next level glazing, but what does my pitch come to at this point? After the rollout, we're gonna cover the actual album and kind of how the rollout stacked up to the album. But anyways, without making too much longer of an intro, my name is Henry, I love music, and this is where I talk about it. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. It's free, you can change your mind later if you really want to, and it helps me out a lot. I have plenty of other videos on my channel. I try and upload once a week, except this week. This is the second video just because I wanted to do a full CHROMAKOPIA reaction, which I will pin here. I think that's where the cards go. So if you want to check that out after this video, by all means, go for it. But yeah, thank you for watching. Let's get on with the video. So one of the main things about CHROMAKOPIA that happened when it was initially announced is it essentially came out of nowhere. Going back to Tyler's discography, he kind of had a rhythm of releasing an album every 2 years. 2011 was Goblin, 2013 was Wolf, 2015 was Cherry Bomb, 2017 was Flower Boy, 2019 was Igor, and 2021 was Call Me If You Get Lost. He kind of broke that rhythm in 2023 whenever he didn't release a full new-length album, but instead released a deluxe version of Call Me If You Get Lost, titled The Estate Sale, which included some throwaways and some demos that just weren't included on the original album. But again, this broke Tyler's release schedule, because up until that point, the entire year of 2023, before he released the album, people were wondering, where's Tyler, where's his album, what's going on? So it threw everyone for a bit of a loop. That was what Tyler released that year. Then we move on to 2024. At least from what I remember, the noise for a new Tyler project wasn't insanely loud. I think people were still assuming that it was going to take 2 years past the estate sale to get a new project from Tyler, because I don't remember off the top of my head seeing anyone like Steve Lacy level comments where comment sections are, where's the album, where's the album, where's the album? So for the most part, nothing had been expected. And like I had mentioned previously, with people wanting music from Steve Lacy, Frank Ocean, Playboi Carti, kind of just another group of artists that were due, quote unquote, for new music, I think Tyler was kind of pushed to the back burner. That was until October 16th, 2024, where seemingly out of nowhere, a snippet was released. A video was shared to his Instagram titled Saint Chroma, which featured what seemed to be a music video. The video featured him in a general's uniform with a mask and a very interesting hairstyle, which is not uncommon for Tyler the Creator albums, with a line of people marching behind him into a shipping container with the word CHROMAKOPIA on it. After everyone is in the container, Tyler blows it up, and a previously black and white video turns into full color, where at the end, a green background image with black text titling CHROMAKOPIA is on the screen. The video also featured vocals from Daniel Caesar and not Frank Ocean, who so many people had been talking about. People online were also trying to analyze the face shapes of the people in the video to try and determine features, which I thought was insane. But now, nothing other than that was revealed on that day, so people weren't sure if that was an album, if it was just a single song, or I saw people theorizing it was a Golf Le Fleur ad, which would have been really funny. The only other piece of information we were given was an 8 that was put in the YouTube description of the music video. Now, given the word Chromacopia, people started doing some digging, and it was found that in May 2024, an Instagram account called Chromacopia was created, and in the same month, the web domain for the word Chromacopia had been set up. The website at the time was empty, but the website had still been set up. I also believe the word was trademarked, but I couldn't get any concrete information on when exactly that was. But I do know Tyler has the trademark for the word Chromacopia. So again, nothing extremely notable happens for the rest of the day, except for my TikTok that got like 500,000 views. A little bit of a shameless plug, but that's okay. The next day, October 17th, is when Chromacopia, the actual album, is announced for release on October 28th. This came with a bunch of merch pre-orders that were launched on Golfwang, Tyler's other brand, that included box sets featuring shirts, hoodies, hats, CDs, stuff like that. The main thing people were pointing out was that the 28th was a Monday, and something he had stated previously in an interview with Nardwar was that Tyler wasn't a fan of music being released on weekends, specifically Friday. He said that he wanted music to go back to releasing on Tuesday to give people like the entire week to digest the album, listening to it on the way to work, school, what have you. And it seems like that was finally what he decided to do with his album. The other thing people noticed was that this was going to be a very short album rollout, with the 28th of October being like 12 days, 11 days from the post. We're going to talk about some other album rollouts that have been taking a lot longer than that after we cover the entire rollout, but just know that this was going to be a very short and efficient rollout. Along with this, the Chromacopia website, chromacopia.com, actually becomes active. Similar to how the Call Me If You Get Lost website was, it was kind of a top-down scrolling website with the Saint Chroma music video. Scrolling down, you saw merch pre-orders, and then at the very bottom were two very interesting details. One was an empty map, and the second was a tour section. Now the tour section was empty, but that obviously is hinting at they're going to be tour dates. But the map, nobody really knew what it was. Some people were theorizing that it was just to track your Golfwang orders, but that wasn't easy to test out because no one was going to get tracking numbers for their orders until after the album came out. So it just remained kind of a big question. I want to quickly mention something that I tried to do with the website that I thought was going to give us more details on the album or just the rollout in general, and that is site mapping. To get a little bit nerdy for a second, when you have a website, there are a bunch of different, I don't know the exact term for it, but I'm gonna call them subdomains that you can add to your website. So that's anytime you have a website and then there's a slash after it and then a keyword. So for example, one of the active subdomains for Chromacopia right now is /map, I believe, which takes you to just a page dedicated to the map, not simply on the homepage. And something people often do with ARGs that have websites related to them, something I know the Walton Files did and Kanito Pet, if you ever played that game, is they had secret subdomains that if you found them led to more information relating to the plot or story of said thing. And a lot of times people try to brute force these and just type in a bunch of different keywords. But one thing you can do is called site mapping. Site mapping is a tool where you can input a website, it'll scrape the entire website and show you any subdomains that were found. The original way that I would do this is with the Internet Archive because it would show you past domains as well. But if you didn't know, the Internet Archive got hacked very recently, and they still have not allowed people to upload new snapshots of websites. So the last update of Chromacopia, I believe, is from August, and that's still when the site was down. It's very interesting that the world's biggest source of internet archiving went down just like a few weeks before a very big election. Yes. Is that what I wanted to use it for? No. I wanted to use it for my silly little album rollouts. But we're not here for conspiracy theories, we're here for music information. So using the tool xml-sitemaps.com, I threw the Chromacopia website in there, it scraped the entire thing, and nothing was found. Sorry for the build-up, but that's not a complete lie. The Chromacopia map section was found, and at the time when I originally did that, I didn't know there was a subsection for just the map, so that was a little bit interesting. But there wasn't any hidden album details. Alright, moving on to October 18th. the Chromacopia page on Instagram became active and they posted the initial album announcement, and the map on the Chromacopia website was finally given a purpose. 2 icons of semi-trucks were placed on the map in the city of Tyler, Texas, and no real other further information was given. That was until the trucks were spotted in Tyler, Texas. These 2 gigantic green semi-trucks with the same green shipping container that you saw in the St. Chroma music video were just placed in Tyler, Texas, which very fitting starting point, I guess. But later that day, 2 more cities were added to that map, being Dallas and Houston, as new destinations for those trucks. They split up at the end of that day, drove off to their respective cities, and that was the end of it. Now, these trucks were nothing like crazy. They weren't merch pop-ups like people thought they were. They were simply just photo opportunities. Similarly to how the Igor statues were during the Igor rollout, and kind of like the Call Me If You Get Lost billboards. But obviously this is a much more like practical photo opportunity than a billboard. But anyways, it was very cool and people were very eager to see where they were gonna go next. Going to October 19th, the trucks arrive at their destinations, being Dallas and Houston. And one specific thing about the Dallas truck was that it stopped in front of a mural in downtown Dallas of St. Chroma the Conductor. And I want to quickly talk about this theory real quick. St. Chroma was the title of the first song that Tyler previewed for the album, and it also ties into the character that he's playing for this album. In the book The Phantom Tollbooth, there is a character named Chroma the Great, and he's a conductor. He conducts a big orchestra that provides color to the world that the book takes place in. If he's not conducting and there's no music, there's no color. Similarly to how in the St. Chroma music video, there was no color until the beat dropped, and it solidified this theory, I guess, when the St. Chroma truck was in front of that mural. I'll talk about that theory a little more later. There's more I want to expand on, but we'll get there when we get there. Also, P.S. I was not able to go to the Dallas truck. I was in Oklahoma for the weekend whenever Dallas was listed as a city for those trucks to be at. I was very sad. So, I don't have a picture in front of it, but I wish. The 20th was a pretty quiet day for the rollout. Nothing of note happened except for Roswell, New Mexico and Atlanta, Georgia being added to the map. But the 21st is where we get our second peek into what this album will actually sound like, with Tyler previewing the track Noid. I say preview, he teased it on Instagram and YouTube for like an hour and then released it on streaming services. Noid was this kind of African rock, hip-hop fusion song, with the song sampling a very great Zambian artist. But the song detailed Tyler's experiences with the paranoia that comes with being famous. People always trying to take pictures, thinking he's in harm's way a lot of the time, and always kind of expecting there to be someone watching him whenever he's out in public, or even in private. Another thing to note is that in the music video for Noid, which he released the same day, Ayo Edebiri, I believe I'm pronouncing that right, if not I apologize, who stars in The Bear, was also in that video. Her and Tyler have always been pretty close from what I understand, so it was just very cool to see her there playing one of the fans / paranoid projections that Tyler had been experiencing. Now I want to quickly talk about this song because it kind of released to mixed reviews. I was seeing a good amount of people saying they didn't like it and that it wasn't their favorite, and a lot of that, including I believe Anthony Fantano's review of it, was because they felt like the song had been building up the entire time without ever reaching like a concrete climax or like a big enough one to pay off that whole build-up. And I want to talk about that because I think artistically it plays really well into the song. This is something I mentioned in my reaction to the album, but the entire song is about Tyler being paranoid and thinking that things are there when they're not. So the whole point of a song building up to kind of no payoff, no climax, nothing like that, is to make us as the listener paranoid. We spend the entire time listening to music, or I guess this song in particular, thinking there's going to be a big payoff, a big instrumental at the end of the song that complements what we've been hearing. So when it doesn't happen, it makes us uncomfortable. It makes us, say it with me, paranoid. Just like Tyler looking over his shoulder, thinking someone's going to be there, but no one is. So I've been seeing people not like the song for that reason, but I'm a bit of a defender. I do really enjoy the song. And also one of my old coworkers, his name was Joseph, bless his soul, one of the nicest guys I've ever met. He grew up in Zambia, and whenever I would work with him, he would play his favorite music, and that was one of the songs he showed me like a year ago. So it's very cool to see Tyler use it in his music. But anyways, we have another sneak into what the album is going to look like. 22nd was also a big day for this album, with the Chromacopia vinyl test pressing announcement being posted onto Instagram. This came with another quote-unquote music video with Tyler in his costume standing next to a record player. Him starting up the record reveals kind of an upbeat sample, but then a picture frame that was in the video falls, causing the video to go from black and white to color with like a very hard rap beat playing and Tyler rapping over the sample, or over the snippet. Tyler then breaks out his notable dance moves, but then he bumps into the table, the snippet changes back to something a little slower, no rapping, and the world goes back to black and white. So in total in this video we were given 3 different snippets, and at the time we didn't know if this was from 1 song, 2 songs, or 3 songs, but we do hear what sounds like Daniel Caesar again in the video. Oh my god, it is way too hot in my room, so I just turned my fan up, so if you hear that in the background, that's my bad. I'll try and talk louder, I guess. Along with the vinyl announcement, the trucks finally stopped at their destinations, and more photo opportunities were announced. That leads into October 23rd with the Atlanta truck hosting an event at Busy Bee in Atlanta, Georgia. The event, hosted by the Chromacopia team, I guess, provided free food to everybody in attendance and a bumper sticker that said, "Keep honking, I'm from Chromacopia," or something like that. But that wasn't even the biggest thing that happened on the 23rd, because the tour was announced. Another black and white video was posted to Instagram and YouTube with people going directly from the Chromacopia shipping container into a plane. Tyler comes onto the screen and drags a couple people from the line over to the front of the camera, and he then checks the passports of group Paris, Texas, and Lil Yachty. He then goes off screen, the camera pans over to him, and he blows up the plane, changing the world from black and white to color again. The tour is then announced with Paris, Texas, and Lil Yachty opening, and I believe it starts in February or March, with pre-sale being announced shortly after the album releases. Now, the music in the background of the video I had originally believed to be an original snippet, but looking back on it, I think it's just a slowed down version of the lead up to the bridge on Noid. I'm not going to play the music on here, obviously, for copyright, but if you want to go back to it and kind of compare the two, I believe that's what they sound like. Alright, October 24th, 4 days from the album release. Tyler reveals the album is going to be released at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, as you might be able to tell, that ruffled some feathers. Just a few. I think it was mostly from people that wanted to stay up Sunday night to listen to the album, but Tyler explained it, and it kind of just rooted back to what he said with Nardwar. This isn't something he wants you to like lose sleep over or like interrupt plans for. Like, it was very clear he wants you to experience this just kind of on your free time, whether it's driving to work, driving to school, or just out and about. He's very much pushing the idea that you should just wake up whenever you wake up and listen to it. But that was 5 a.m. Central Time, where I'm in, and I did film a reaction to it, so I was up at 5 in the morning. Did I need to be? Not really, but I had a car appointment at 8 a.m., so kind of. Anyways, new cities were added to the map, being Los Angeles, California, and Charlotte, North Carolina. And then later that day, Tyler announced a listening party for the album that was going to take place on Sunday. The listening party was going to take place at the brand new Intuit Dome in Los Angeles. It was going to be $5, and it was only to American Express card holders. We're going to talk about this listening party later, because I find it very interesting, and you will see why. But just know it was, even though it was cheap, it was some sort of limited event, being only Amex cards. But that meant some spoilers were gonna pop up for it. On October 25th, nothing super crazy happened. The North Carolina truck arrived at its location. Hello everyone, Editor Henry here. While I was editing this video, I realized I missed a very important piece of this rollout. And it happened, I believe, on the 25th. I could be wrong, because this TikTok doesn't show the exact date of posting until whatever. I believe it was the 25th. But the CHROMAKOPIA TikTok account became active, and it posted a snippet of Tyler singing over a soft guitar beat, which we would later find out is the song Tomorrow. So yeah, sorry about that. Can enjoy the rest of the video, I guess. On the 26th, one of the other trucks made a stop in Hawthorne, California, and then went on the way to Los Angeles. Now here's where things get interesting. I forgot to timestamp this particular event, but I believe it happened somewhere within the 25th, 26th area. Features had been such a big talk for this album release. Everyone was theorizing who was going to be on the album, what kind of features there were going to be, with, like I said earlier, people theorizing based on the head shapes of the people in the St. Chroma music video, which is a little bit racist, but also just like really, really crazy. The main thing people were talking about was whether or not Frank Ocean was going to be on the album. Frank had been on Call Me If You Get Lost for an interlude that he did at the end of Lemonhead, I believe. He was not on Igor, but he did have a verse on Flower Boy. And then he's been on some of Tyler's earlier projects, so it wasn't out of the realm of possibility, but that had been all people were talking about. It felt like you found more people online theorizing whether or not Frank was going to be there than how the album was actually going to sound. So, in response to this, Tyler changed his Twitter bio to F features, and then later commented on an Instagram post saying no features. This obviously caused everyone to go into a bit of a spiral. But on top of that, Tyler has always been a troll. He just does things to do things, so a lot of people didn't really believe him. He then later changed his Twitter bio to same boys with me since back then. So it was still very up in the air whether features were going to be a thing on this album. Alright, now, this is where things get a little interesting. October 27th. This is the day before the album releases. And what does Tyler do? He shares another snippet. He shared the snippet to a song titled Thought I Was Dead, with the music video being the same setting as the tour video, with it being black and white and him next to a plane, on top of a plane, dancing. But it was kind of Tyler just showing that he can still rap. It was a very rap heavy song, but the main takeaway people had was that they thought he was dissing Ian, the rapper. While it's never been direct, Tyler has made some shots at Ian, or at least allegedly has made some shots at Ian in previous interviews. But in the song, Tyler says, "White boys mocking this, and y'all mad at me, y'all can suck mine." I don't want to get demonetized. I don't think that would demonetize me, but what am I talking about? I'm not even monetized. Whatever, it's... But anyways, people took that as him taking a shot at Ian. Was it really a shot at Ian? I don't know. Was it a shot at Ian and kind of boring white rappers in general? Maybe. I'm not sure. To be fair, I do like some of the Ian songs. Maybe it's because of my heritage. But some of them are good. Anyways, not important. Tyler shared a song a day before the album released. The CHROMAKOPIA truck arrived in Columbus, Ohio, and the other truck arrived at the Golfwing flagship in Los Angeles. Now, listening party. Listening party takes place. Let's talk about it a little bit. Lots of people had documented this experience, and I want to talk about not necessarily the actual listening party itself. I mean, I will, but there's not a lot to unpack there. I want to talk about the lead up to it. If you're not aware, the Intuit Dome is a very freshly constructed stadium meant for the Los Angeles Clippers. It was built mainly for the Los Angeles Clippers so that the Lakers and the Clippers didn't have to share a stadium anymore. But with it being very new, obviously people are going to want to perform there. Now, even though this was a somewhat limited event, only being to Amex cardholders, there were still a lot of tickets purchased because it was $5, which means there were a lot of people in attendance. So, it would only be natural to only have a single security checkpoint open. One, across this billions of dollars worth of stadium with multiple different entrances. There was only one security checkpoint open. This caused people to have to wait ungodly amounts of time to even get into the actual event that they paid for. I remember seeing a TikTok of someone taking a video of the line and then they paid someone $10 to get in. I don't remember who you are, but I thank you, I guess. But yeah, that was just crazy to me. That's not necessarily Tyler's fault. It's more the event organizers and the stadium team itself, but very crazy. The stadium was lit up completely green. There were lots of statues and photo op things set up. There were merch stands where you could buy Chromacopia merch. But after all is said and done, the listening event actually starts. And yes, people were still going through security once the event started. That's not a lie. Tyler played the entire album while he kind of like danced around on stage a little bit. He said some words after the fact, mostly saying that the album was kind of a reflection on advice that his mother had given him growing up. And then that was all said and done. The album was set to be released a few hours later, and everybody went home. So now, here we are, October 28th. The album is officially released, and the rollout is officially complete. Now, before I talk about the actual album, I want to mention how efficient this rollout was. The album was teased, announced, and released all within a less than 2-week span, which is very common for Tyler. His rollouts have never been super long, but it was such a refreshing change for people in the music community, specifically hip-hop, because there are some crazy album rollouts going on that have taken years, essentially. I'm not gonna mention Frank Ocean because he technically hasn't announced an album, so there's not really a rollout going on. But the most notable one is Playboi Carti, who announced his album I Am Music like a year or two ago, and keeps either delaying it, canceling it, or changing it, seemingly very last minute. He'll announce tours, you'll buy tickets, they'll get canceled. He'll drop merch, pre-orders, you'll buy them, they'll get canceled. And it just seems like the rollout isn't even worth it at this point. In doing this, an artist becomes completely untrustworthy, and the hype for the album, while still being very high, is nowhere near the level that it could have been. Instead of genuine hype, it's filled with mostly delusion, and what is meant to be a very exciting and interesting experience for fans turns into just extortion, essentially. Someone else I want to mention is The Weeknd. I know he announced his album Hurry Up Tomorrow, like, I want to say a month ago, 2 months ago. And while he has been slowly releasing things about the album, it is still taking forever. He's released 2 singles for it, one featuring Playboi Carti, funny enough. But yeah, still no word on when the album is going to come out. So it was very refreshing for this album to take a very short and efficient rollout and not hide anything, essentially. But anyways, let's move into talking about the album. Chromacopia is a 14-track album, and it has a runtime of 53 minutes. A couple important things to note was the features were not credited on the credits or the titles, and also the tradition of him including a double song as the 10th track of the album was done for. It was gone. It further enforced the line in St. Chroma where he's saying not to worry about traditions, breaking that 2-year release streak and that double song for the 10th track. Tyler was doing away with all his previous traditions. Now, even though, like I said, there were no credited features, there were features on the album. Tyler did lie. The features included Daniel Caesar, who we had already known before, Kizo Touchdown on the song Darling I, Childish Gambino provided some vocals at the end of I Killed You, Glorilla, Sexy Red, and Lil Wayne were all on the song Sticky, which just absolutely insane. Tyler is the only person I can think of that can bring Glorilla, Sexy Red, and Lil Wayne together and make a cohesive song. Other features included Schoolboy Q, Doechii, Willow Smith, Rex Orange County, also with Steve Lacy on guitar and Thundercat on bass. And Baby Keem had one ad-lib, I think. I forget which song it was, but there's a song on the album where towards the end of it, there's just like a random Baby Keem ad-lib. I don't know if it was actually like a new one or Tyler just put it there, but it was funny. The album took a very experimental direction in terms of sound. It doesn't really sound like anything else that Tyler has released, and it doesn't stick to a single theme, but it's a very personal album with him covering topics like pregnancy scares, getting older, being alone, and not having grandchildren. After the album was released and people got their hands on their vinyls, it was discovered that Playboi Carti actually had a verse on the track Thought You Were Dead. It's unclear why this was cut from the streaming services release, whether it was Carti's decision to cut it, Tyler's decision, what have you, but he does have a feature on the album. Tyler did also keep up with one of his traditions of putting a bonus song on the physical releases of his albums, with the bonus track Mother being on the album. It's unclear whether Cardi or the bonus track are on the CD releases. I haven't found any conclusive evidence as of October 29th when this is being filmed, but as I'm editing this, if I find stuff, I'll put it here. Tyler had also announced a collaboration with the delivery service Postmates with exclusive merch and the ability to order your vinyls the day of through Postmates, where it would be delivered to you, and Tyler actually surprised people in Los Angeles by hand delivering their albums to them. So that was interesting. But yeah, as of right now, that is all of the information we have in terms of Rollout, album release, stuff like that. As far as a breakdown of the album, like I said earlier, it's a very experimental album. The only thing that I'm still kind of caught on is this is not a concept album like I had originally thought it was. During this whole album rollout, I thought the album was going to be similar to Igor, not necessarily in sound, but in the fact that Tyler's playing a character. So while the album isn't a concept album, I do have some theories. In my opinion, I think when the whole world is black and white, that's when Tyler thinks he's in control. In the videos, when all the scenes are black and white, Tyler has complete control over what's going on, whether that's leading people into the shipping container, whether that's bringing people over to him to check their passports, or just like moving or dancing or moving around on set. He has control over what's going on in the world. And even though the kind of like only thing that would mess us up, Noid being black and white and everything being kind of crazy, I think this theory still stands because he does still have control over his world. He's just very paranoid of it. The world only turns into color when something out of his control happens. What comes after an explosion is kind of out of your control. You don't control what the side effects of that are. The picture frame falling and the song changing wasn't under his control. And again, the explosion of the plane, the after effects of that aren't in his control. This is still very loose. I think theories and stuff like that are just gonna have to be accumulated over time. But I do think a big theme of it is loss of control, and that's a theme that is discussed on the album a lot. Hey Jane is a song about being in a pregnancy scare. That's not something you can control. And that's something that Tyler is very vocal about, being scared of not being able to control. So I do think that is a very prominent theme of the album. I'm not sure if that is what Chroma stacked up to be, but we're just gonna have to wait and see what kind of world this all brings in. But yeah, I apologize if that album breakdown section was a little offhanded. I'm still formulating my own ideas and theories, and even though I wanted to get this video out as soon as possible, all of my theories and stuff, like when I update them, I'll post them on Twitter most likely, but that portion is still a work in progress. But anyways, that's gonna do it for today. We covered the entire rollout of Chromacopia, and then we broke down the album a little bit, and hopefully this made it a little bit easier to kind of just remember or condense everything that happened during this rollout. I'm very confident more things are going to happen in terms of this world that Tyler is building, but only time will tell. But in the meantime, if you want to go follow my other social medias like my Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, I'll post all my thoughts on stuff that happens in the future on there. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. This video took a lot of work to kind of compile and research, so I appreciate you for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you. I upload one of these every Friday, so subscribe to see more. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.